Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I want to talk to you about a few important things today. The first one is the Palestinian police forces that belong to Hamas in the Gaza Strip went out armed today, roaming in the northern part of Gaza, speaking with reporters, speaking with citizens, armed, telling people that we're here to make sure everything is okay. We want to make sure that there are no crimes committed, and we want to make sure that everyone is safe. So what is this all about? Firstly, we're talking about the northern part of Gaza, the place that was hit the most, the place where most initial bombardments took place, the place that Israel split apparently from the south, the place that Israel wanted to initially expel the civilian population from, the place that Israel supposedly hit so hard that it hit Hamas very heavily. So what's happening exactly? A couple of things are happening. Number one, this signals that the Israeli failure is beyond what we're even comprehending. So you had the initial phase of them bombing civilians instead of bombing Hamas. They're unable to hurt their military capabilities. We're talking about massive casualties day by day. And the longer time passes, the more casualties you have with Israel. The last 4 days were the worst in terms of recorded casualties. So you're talking about a situation where Israel is completely lacking control of anything in Gaza. They previously stated, we want to demolish them. They're still saying we want to demolish them. Some people are saying we want to hurt their military capabilities. They're arresting every adult male in Gaza. They published images of them holding males as captives and stripping them and saying that they were members of Hamas, although some of them were released later on and were proven to be innocent civilians. So how comes you're taking all of these people and letting the Hamas forces roam in the north? Well, it's because you don't have control over any part of Gaza. Clearly, that's the straightforward answer. And you're not only talking about the north. In the south, every single area that they've invaded, it's not that they've taken control of anything. The more they invade and go deeper into Gaza, the more they have severe casualties. So we're talking about a new shameful stamp on Israel's face and on this whole military campaign. 70 days into the war, and they are unable to control any single part of Gaza. They're lying to their population, and they're even talking about the day after and them having full security control in Gaza. If you're unable to have full security control with all of your army engaged in battle in Gaza, how on earth are you going to have control or security control or any type of control on the day after? And what the hell are you talking about when you're saying Hamas will have no role after this war ends? They have a role in the war, during the war. You're telling people that we're hurting them badly, yet they're out there parading with their armed members, armed forces, in the northern part of Gaza, the part that you supposedly had to have under control. This is also signaling that the remaining forces in the north of Gaza are completely withdrawing. So a couple of weeks ago, they reported that 70,000 Israeli soldiers left the northern part of Gaza, but now it seems like there's no one from Israel in the northern part of Gaza, despite the fact that they're publishing images of their forces being here and there. But what are they talking about exactly? So this is a new sign that Israel is completely out of control whenever it comes to anything to do with security and control in Gaza. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is the tunnels. So yesterday, Israel apparently published images of them starting to flood the tunnels of Gaza. Now, before I get into the details of flooding the tunnels and what exactly happened and what they published and how likely are they to actually flood the tunnels, I want to state that Hamas used the term Al-Aqsa flood for this operation. Tufan al-Aqsa. It's a term that they used from themselves. They said, we want to name this campaign Tufan al-Aqsa flood, which symbolizes the importance of Masjid al-Aqsa and the meaning of the flood, that it's a massive operation. So what did Israel do? They spread leaflets in Gaza about a verse from the Quran saying, فَأَخَذَهُمُ الطُّوفَانُ وَهُمْ ظَالِمُونَ. So the flood has taken them and they were oppressors. This is a verse in the Quran in reference to the people that didn't follow Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him, and how they were flooded. Psychological warfare, basically. In a way to say that your tunnels are going to be flooded and we're going to take control and whatever. Now, if you recall, during the early days of the war, they said they were considering sponge bombs or flooding the tunnels. So now they have pumps and they're spreading images and videos of them flooding the tunnels. What did we see? Well, we saw something that resembles a tunnel. Is it a tunnel? Is it not a tunnel? It's not really clear because we haven't seen the actual structure that Hamas usually publish of their tunnels. It was like a small hole, one of them, and the other one looked like an underground water system. It didn't look like a tunnel. Anyway, they were flooding them, okay? This flood was basically spraying a bit of water. It's as if you're opening the hose in your garden and you're, watering your plants or grass or whatever it is you're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if they're pumping like masses of waters and whatever. Secondly, it just highlights how ignorant and how failed this whole campaign is. So number one of the Hamas leaders had a statement today saying that the tunnels were engineered by expert professionals and they were prepared for the idea that they might be flooded or that Israel might try and do something with them. Also, people forget, like, when you talk about the tunnels of Hamas, you're not talking about one network of tunnels. It's a network of 500 kilometers approximately, according to multiple reports. But you're not talking about one tunnel. You're talking about very, very many tunnels. Not all of the tunnels are connected. Some of them go from one place to another and they end. Some of them are dummy tunnels. We saw how Hamas made booby traps in the tunnels and Israeli forces went in them and were killed, all of them. They released some videos of them. As a matter of fact, the son of Gadi Eisenkot, who is a member of the war cabinet, was killed in one of these tunnels. Secondly, not all of the tunnels are on the same level. Some of them are a couple of meters underground, some of them are 20, some of them are 30, some of them reach up to 80 meters under the ground. That's the second thing. Also, not all of them are the same width. We've received multiple reports that some tunnels can fit cars, can fit vehicles, although Hamas did not publish images of such tunnels. Another thing is, not all of those tunnels are in Gaza. Some of those tunnels lead to Israel. So some of the hostages might actually be under the ground in Israel or under the ground in Egypt. Remember, when Al-Aqsa flood started on the 7th of October, Hamas posted videos of them taking down the wall and their soldiers going over in paragliders. They were hiding something. They were hiding the fact that some of their men went into Israel in tunnels because they didn't want to reveal them. A couple of years ago, Israel arrested one person from Gaza. I think there were 2 or 3 occasions actually, who apparently was roaming around in Israeli streets. Now, the suspicion was that this man or several men tried those tunnels and went into Israel, because their whole security system that's around Gaza that Hamas took down on the day in a few hours, that people don't like to mention that, by the way. They took down the whole Gaza brigade on the 7th of October in a few hours, and they held commanders and military leaders as hostages. It was like a military annihilation of a whole brigade that's supposed to be one of the most sophisticated in Israel. So these men apparently went into Israel from tunnels. Where did they go out from? No one knows, because they didn't tell the Israelis. Hamas didn't publish anything about them, but they were clearly testing and trialing entering Israel and occupied territories from the tunnels. No one spoke about that. So this whole idea of Israel flooding the tunnels is quite ridiculous, as the whole campaign is really, when it comes to targeting civilians. We saw who they killed in Gaza. So far, they killed 20,000 innocent civilians, injured over 40,000. Today, they're showing how great they are and how moral they are by killing yet another journalist and wounding another. Samer Abu Diqqa, who is a cameraman for Al Jazeera, he was killed. And they targeted Wael Dahdouh again, Al Jazeera reporter, although they killed his wife, son, daughter, and grandson a couple of weeks ago when they targeted Gaza and targeted him specifically. And again, no one's talking about the number of casualties from journalists in Gaza. We have almost 70 journalists deliberately killed. They don't want people to show what's happening. Why are they targeting them deliberately, even though they know they work for the media and they work for some major Arab news networks, yet they target them, like they killed Shireen Abu Akleh when she was covering the Israeli crimes in Jenin. So the tunnel flooding is quite impossible. It's failed from now. It will always fail. It will never work because the tunnel system is so sophisticated in Gaza and Israel has no clue what it's doing over the ground. So how on earth would they know what's happening under the ground? The other thing I wanted to talk to you about today is a statement from Yitzhak Herzog, the Israeli president. What did Yitzhak Herzog say? He said that we cannot discuss political solutions now. Why can you not discuss, Mr. Herzog? It's because we're a nation that's in trauma, we're mourning, and we're just getting over the suffering that we went through on the 7th of October. And I mean, I posted a video a few days ago about Netanyahu making me cry when he addressed the people of Gaza, telling them, stand with us, stand with civilization. You know, as if the Gazan population will really listen to Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, Yitzhak Herzog is coming to tell us that he cannot talk because Israel is a nation that's in trauma and that is suffering. Wow. I think it's so emotional, it's unbelievable, because you really tend to be very traumatized when you go and kill 20,000 people. It's really difficult, you know, it's very hard to live. You know, I'm killing people, you know, you're landing 40,000 tons on a civil population. It's difficult, you can't negotiate. If what you went through on the 7th of October made you so traumatized, and in shock, and in pain, and in mourning, and in suffering, how do you think the Palestinians feel about talking to you after they've been through what they've been through for over 75 years? These were the things that I wanted to talk to you about today, and I hope I see you soon in the next video. Take care.